eating all the refrigerated Kinder in Germany plus a whole lot of other Kinders. So I am trying these Kinder desserts and letting you know how they compare against each other. I think we're going to start with the refrigerated Kinders, which are these Maxi King, Milchschnitte, and Milchschnitte Blueberry, Paradiso, Pingui, and Chocofresh. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the another flavor of these are the refrigerated ones. We're starting by the basic one, basic Milchschnitte, which I think is the most representative. Well, the first one, it has this soft soft layer, which is a little bit dry in this case because it's almost expired, but I've tried some already, so I can tell you more or less what they're like. This is good. It's soft. It has a soft feeling, and I would say that it's a bit underwhelming in the sense that there is not a lot of chocolate flavor, and I personally expect chocolate flavor when eating Kinder, but I will say that it is good, and it is kind of a pretty classic dessert or a snack, and it's soft, sweet, but not super overwhelming, and I would say it's pretty classic. Then I think I'm going to continue with the Milchschnitte blueberry flavor. Aesthetically, it's very similar, but a very something where the Milchschnitte blueberry greatly increases in respect of the Milchschnitte is in the smell. You can't tell, but this one smells really good while after opening the package. It smells really like this blueberry jam, you could say. And in that respect, it smells a lot better. And I would say that this is a great step up over the regular Milchschnitte. Maybe it helps that I'm comparing them side by side. But I would say that even without having the comparison, I would say that this is like a much richer dessert. It has the same softness that the Milchschnitte provides, but it gives that extra touch of sweetness and extra complexity with a little bit of acidity as well from the blueberry marmalade, you could say, blueberry jam, syrup, etc. And I would say that this is much better than the regular Milchschnitte. So I would definitely recommend trying out this one. Next, I'm going to go with Kinder Paradiso. Something that really surprised me from the Kinder Paradiso is the packaging. I wasn't expecting this extra complexity with this, how do you say, paper or like, hard paper. I forgot how to say this word. From this kind of hard paper packing, and this additional packing was surprising, and I'd say that it's something that positively surprised me. This was something unexpected in the Kinder lineup for me, and I would recommend trying, although I won't give it a super high rating. Aside from, I will say that this is a surprising dish, but not necessarily like an incredibly impressive snack. But I will say that if you don't actually like chocolate that much, this maybe could be something that you're into. It does have some of the positive aspects that I mentioned from the Milchschnitte, that softness, that that softness and that kind of classic flavor, plus with something of the Milchschnitte blueberry, because it does have like this little acidity touch. I think it's kind of a hint of a lemon flavor, or something like this, some kind of aroma, maybe vanilla. I wouldn't know how to what it is exactly, but I think it is lemony, citrusy, and certainly kind of Christmassy. It reminded me of like Spanish Christmassy desserts, like I don't know, maybe like something marzipan related, something with almond maybe. Those kind of desserts have that note that makes them a little bit more complex than something like the simple milchschnitte. And yeah, I would say that it's certainly worth trying, and it will be surprising to see it in the Kinder lineup. But yeah, I do think that it is not, and it is a little bit complex, and it has layers to it, I would say, but it's not mega interesting, or it's not, it won't make your head explode. But maybe if you're someone like that likes snacks to be a little bit more, yeah, a little bit, yeah, with some complexity, etc., but not super, yeah, but not like, yeah, not like super overpowering, then I would think that maybe this goes for you. Then I'm going to be trying the Kinder Pingui. This is the Kinder Pingui, and I would say that this is probably like a super solid Kinder. This has everything you would want, to be honest. It has that chocolate exterior, it has a soft filling, but it has that middle chocolate layer, or like, yeah, that you, I think you can tell that there is maybe some wet wafer, or like maybe that same milchschnitte outer layer that's kind of soft and chewy with, but in this case it seems like humid with something. So I would say that this has it all. This is like the gold standard of Kinder desserts, and I would say I would call it the gold standard out of the fridge Kinder products. It has the complexity that humid layer gives it. It has that some like slight acidic touch. It has the sweetness of the chocolate, the kind of crunch, textural crunch from the chocolate as well, and the freshness of being a refrigerated Kinder dessert. I would say it has it all. Then I'm going to be going with the second to last refrigerated Kinder, the Maxi King. First Maxi King bite, and I would say that this is probably my favorite one, but I wouldn't say it reigns supreme because it could be a little bit too sweet. It lacks, I think, a little bit of that contrast between. Yeah, I think the caramel gives it a layered touch, but I will say that it could be like too sweet for some because it doesn't have that acidity uh, profile that gives a snack kind of this interesting touch, but it does have a lot of things going for it. It has the crunch, it has the nuts, it has the caramel flavor, the sweet caramel flavor, and the soft filling. So yeah, I would say that it's my personal favorite probably because the caramel just elevates it in my opinion. But I will say that it is probably a subjective thing. Right? Everything is subjective, right? But I could definitely understand someone who has another pick, for example, the Pingui, as their top. Then we're going with our last refrigerated Kinder, the Choco Fresh. This is the Choco Fresh. and it's something that is new to me. I will say that this one, in my opinion, is the packaging is interesting because it comes in like smaller bites, so it's a bite-sized thing. And as a bite-sized thing, I would say that it's pretty interesting. As in, well, not interesting. I will say that it is pretty filling, right? It's pretty satiating, but I would also say that it's too satiating. In the interior, we can tell that it has like some, like a cream that reminds me of the Kinder Bueno, if you liked, and also some soft filling. But yeah, I think it's based on the packaging, some kind of nut cream, like avellana. I forgot how to say that in English. But yeah, I would say that it is tasty, but satiating, and like it goes heavy on the palate. Like it's hard in my opinion. Well, everything can be done, but binging this could be harder, for example, than binging a more balanced flavor profile dessert. But it was interesting to taste out for the first time. I think to wrap up these desserts, I will say that I knew from before the Maxi King. I definitely had tasted that one before. The Pingui I also knew, but I'm not sure if I knew the Pingui or if I knew the Delis. I will talk about it right now. And the Paradiso was definitely new. The Milchschnitte and the Milchschnitte Blueberry I think were new, but the Milchschnitte is kind of familiar and reminded me of like these ice cream sandwiches. So I would say that it's kind of a similar flavor profile from something I had before. But yeah, I will say that as surprises, the biggest surprise has been the Paradiso. That one is probably like the least expected thing and the one that caused me the most like, whoa, that's an interesting flavor profile I wasn't expecting and something that I'm glad I tried out. And I would say that, but the one that I would imagine has like the most fans is the Kinder Pingui. The one I would imagine, and the one that was another welcome surprise was the Blueberry one. Yeah, I would say that that is kind of also, yeah, it was also a good surprise. It had also good surprise element. Opening up, smelling it, and then tasting it, I would say that it also lives up. I wouldn't say that the Kinder Choco is disappointing per se, but I will say that it's not my personal favorite, although I do like it. And as a snack, and as a bite-sized snack, it probably wins. And yeah, that's, I guess, my wrap-up of this first part of the video, which is the refrigerated snacks. And we're going quickly into the delis, Kinder Delis. Apologies for calling it delis. I think it's probably called delis. But yeah, this is how it looks like. Kind of, it's a similar profile from the Pingui, but without that generous cream filling and more like a small cream, and I would say no need for refrigerating type vibe. Here in this comparison, the Kinder Delis loses out because yeah, it's compared against the refrigerated ones, which have that extra softness, extra creaminess, etc. This one is more of a, it could be a breakfast Kinder because, and I have had it that way before, because it probably even benefits a little bit from being kind of dunked in milk or on chalky milk, something like that, right? Because it is a little bit of a drier dessert slash snack. But I would say that out of the dry desserts, it's probably the best one, and it has that complex flavor profile, that small juiciness from, even if it's on the drier side compared to the refrigerated ones, it's on the juicier side compared to the classic chocolate tablets slash cookie based products. And as I said in one of the other ones, in this case the kind of soft part, the kind of soft breading, I forgot how to call this in English, sorry, bizcochito, the soft bizcochito part is, it has that little bit complex acidity, although in this case it's way less noticeable than, for example, in the pink wheat. So yeah, in that case it does become a little harder to eat, but it's still a top notch, in my opinion, Kinder product. I'm going to continue with the Kinder Riegel, Kinder Chocolate, Kinder Barrita Kinder in Spanish, I think, because I feel like this is like a good base to compare everything to. Or, yeah, not sure if everything, but the following ones and the previous ones. It's like a good reference point. This is the classic Kinder chocolate bar with this kind of milk cream. After so many, obviously this is not like a first eager review. It's more of a whoa, I'm eating a lot of Kinder. But I remember like when I've had them before also, right? And this video is not scripted, but it is more or less pre-planned in a sense. So yeah, this one is kind of the reference Kinder, and it's a very balanced thing because it has the milk and the chocolate. So in Riegel form, in Barrita form, in Kinder chocolate bar form, this is much more balanced in my opinion than the Milchschnitte. The Milchschnitte, it has the same kind of on paper ingredients, but for example in the Milchschnitte, the chocolate is barely noticeable. The chocolate flavored soft thing. So it's kind of soft with soft. In this case, it's kind of like crunchier, etc. with chocolate, with the softer milk cream. And even though in Barrita form it also depends on temperature, etc. and I have put them in the fridge. In default form, it's still like a noticeable contrast, and it's like a really solid Kinder product in my opinion, and probably like with. It makes sense that it's kind of the staple, maybe beside the Kinder Surprise egg or something like this, right? Next, I'm going to go with this Kinder Country Bar. This is how it looks by default. And this is how it looks after a bite. I have had it before, but I would say that this is always a surprising bite. It has like this kind of cereal type corn type cereal, or like wheat grains. I think it's wheat based on these images, and it's like inflated wheat. So they taste breakfasty, but also kind of, it's an interesting flavor profile. It's like salad. It's like a little, it's not salty per se, but it tastes like closer to saltier foods than any other Kinder product. So it's also something unexpected. And it is an interesting profile, and it makes the bite a little bit lighter and crunchier in that sense, right? And like, yeah, it gives it a good aftertaste, I would say. It reminds me of a lot of other different snacks, right? This kind of inflated rice, for example, snacks, these cereals that were basically inflated wheat grains. It reminds me of those cereals. So for that, it has like that kind of takes me back aftertaste, but also it tastes a little bit like, I would say, cheap, because those cereals were cheap. Well, those cereals tasted cheap, right? They were like the lower tier cereal in my opinion. I forget the trademark name, but not Kinder, Kellogg's had some of them. Something like Trek is coming to mind, but it's not Trek. But yes, a name like this, like a single syllable short name, red box, green name, Smack maybe, Kellogg's Smacks, something like that, right? It's like combined. And even though Kellogg's Max was like a name brand cereal, in my opinion, they were like, I don't know, they weren't that they weren't like my favorite cereal. So personally for my taste, they're not superb, but I can understand the appeal. Now we're going to go with something that's a favorite of mine, the Kinder Bueno, and all of these. I forgot this name. Hazelnut. Hazelnut is the word. That's the word I was looking for. Hazelnut. Of these kind of hazelnut cream based desserts as well. Duplos and the other Bueno Kinder. Man, this is good. Kinder Bueno. Name says it all, right? It's Bueno. It's light. It has a little bit of this weight to it, even though it's light, because like weight in the mouth. Something like heaviness, what I called before satiatingness, because that hazelnut with the chocolate flavor do give it that staying power and that fulfillingness. But I will say that in this case it's more fulfillingness rather than in the other I call it satiation, right? In the other one, satiating to me has a little bit of this connotation of like, whoa, it's almost too much, right? It's like filling and going a little bit past. That's kind of satiation. Even though I don't know, I'm not sure if that real definition means that, but yeah, that's how I interpret it. Meanwhile, the Kinder Bueno, it's like it has that airiness that helps it just making me think of the word fulfilling, right? It's great. I love it. Now we're going with the Kinder Bueno White. This one, in my opinion, is a step up from the Kinder Bueno. Hazelnut flavor, etc. But, and same airy flavor thanks to the wafer, like same fillingness, same thing that I mentioned, but it has the additional complexity of like adding the chocolatey flavor with the white chocolate thing and with that kind of the dust that Kinder Joys have, and that also is present in maybe Happy Hippos don't have this exactly the same. I think Happy Hippos do have also this thing, and I don't know. In my opinion, this is the best one. Like, well, I love it so much. Kinder Bueno Whites, they're my addiction. I could eat them non-stop. And I have eaten them pretty often in the past. They just have it all. Crunch, complex hazelnut flavor, fulfillingness, chocolate flavor, dust, kind of texture, interesting texture wise, right? Everything is there. And then you can do this and have the little dust. Now we're going with the Duplo. The Duplo is new for me. I hadn't tasted it before I came here to Germany. It has a funny look. It looks like this kind of wooden log. Hope I stored the camera correctly. Hope it's registering correctly my direction. And yeah, this is the Kinder Duplo. It tastes decent. It is complex as well. But I will say that it has less of the redeeming qualities that more like this kind of satiating hazelnut products have, which is it lacks airiness. It still has wafer, but it doesn't have it in the right proportion, in my opinion. Maybe it has like too much chocolate, so it feels too weighty. The wafer is a nice, it has a nice crunch to it, so texture-wise it is also good, but it's not as interesting as the Kinder Bueno White, for example. And it is, I feel, a bit heavier to digest. I think even taking into account and like controlling for this being like almost one of the last Kinders that I'm eating. But yeah, I will say I've had it before, right? It's the first time I have it in Germany. Sorry, because I moved to Germany recently, but it's not the first time I've ever had it in this video review. I mean, I'm continuing with the Kinder Duplo White. Looks wise, it's also similar. It looks like a log, which does have this interesting texture. And to my taste, this is better than the regular Duplo, because the chocolate in this one, it's white chocolate, so I don't know, it has a less weighty texture to it. It's still a little bit heavy, especially taking into account it's the second to last or whatever. But in my opinion, the white chocolate fits better this, I don't know, this hazelnut cream. It's a better match. The regular milk chocolate, I don't know, it feels like a little bit like it doesn't gain a lot from this cream, because the milk chocolate is already kind of, yeah, it has already this depth to it, right? The white chocolate, it's a little bit lighter flavor, so it gains with the hazelnut cream. Meanwhile, yeah, for example, that's why I guess the basic Kinder Riegel, the Kinder chocolate, Kinder Barrita, that one I feel like it works really well with the milk cream, right? The milk is kind of a pretty neutral cream, so the chocolate with the cream, it gets balanced. The Kinder Bueno regular has the air to it, so it manages to make work the chocolate, but the Duplo goes a little bit too far away. Same with the Choco Fresh, even though the Choco Fresh tries to have that kind of cream in it to balance it. I feel like out of these, the most balanced hazelnut ones are the white chocolate ones, the Kinder Bueno White, and this Kinder Duplo White, although a good contestant would be the Kinder Bueno regular. It's approved. Definitely approved, and like little to contest to it. Actual second to last in this review, and part of, I guess, the last category, is this kind of cookie based Kinder products, of which I have the Cards and the Kinderini, and we're starting with the Cards. This one has this milk and this wafer, a chocolate part and a non-chocolate part. I will say that it's the chocolate, you can definitely feel the chocolatiness of the chocolate wafer, but in my opinion, it's too much. I don't know. I feel like I like the Riegel. This is unbalanced, but in this case, maybe because it has too much cream, or because the cream is not the same milk cream as the chocolate one, and it's like a deeper cream, and it doesn't, like the wafer is not balancing enough for the cream. So all you taste is cream. It gives it a nice texture. So texture wise, I would say that this is good, but yeah, it is a little bit heavy on the cream, and it is a little bit empalaging, as we would call it in Spanish. So like a little bit, when I called something before satisfying or satiating, this is like too satiating, I would say, right? That kind of vibe, in my opinion. But I will say that the chocolate wafer plus regular wafer is a good idea. And I can see what they were looking for, and perhaps with some milk, like dunked in some milk, this being one of these kind of cookie-based products, maybe that's kind of what it makes sense to think for it for, right? It's kind of in the same delis breakfast, the least breakfast category, right? And now final product, one of these first things that I've had in Germany, the Kinderini, which seem to be like cookies with several shapes, but yeah, based on like with the shape of the Kinder egg as Kinder Überraschung, that's as like trademarking or like for brand recognition, but they're just cookies, right? This is a pretty funny thing. Cookie, two sides, one of like decorated, and it does seem to have like some chocolate cream over here and like some white spots in the eyes. So yeah, let's try it. This is, by the way, the actual first time I try it. It's decent, but it's like, I think, in a completely different realm to all of this. The cream, I get, or like the chocolate part, is almost unnoticeable. These are just cookies. As cookies, kind of probably more expensive than they should be. They are the proportions are right. In this case, in my opinion, the airier non-chocolate flavor part is thicker, and the chocolate part is thinner. But in these cookies, the chocolate part is usually like super intense. It reminds me of like some The Simpsons branded cookies that were kind of intended for you to drop into milk, kind of more cereal, or like the chocolate ositos, the chiquilín ositos, but in chocolate flavor. Those were like pretty deep chocolate flavors. So as cookies to have alone, they weren't super good, but they gained by being dropped into milk and like releasing that chocolatey flavor into the milk and being like soft and able to be eaten like that. So this has a certain tint to it, but it's balanced enough that you can have a couple of the cookies by themselves and have them and enjoy them. But I would say that they probably win and gain, from being dunked into milk. I would say that is the case with these Kinderini cookies. So I would say that I'm a bit disappointed by the eyes and the mouth because they look like they have chocolate, but it's, in my opinion, almost not noticeable. But I will say that it's, as a product themselves, it's probably like tasty enough that I would consider them for dunking into milk or something like this. Then some conclusions to wrap up this this thing, and it's that I'm so full and that I probably should go to the gym for like 10 days straight or something like that and like never stop running or something like this. But yeah, sorry, joking aside, from this kind of dry or like non-refrigerated Kinder category, I would say that I can definitely understand why the Kinder Riegel is like a Kinder chocolate is like the standard, because it's this kind of balanced concoction of milk plus chocolate. Then, in my opinion, out of all the hazelnut flavored products, the ones with white chocolate definitely stand out and feel more balanced. The white chocolate cream with the hazelnut feels like a better combination, and I feel like we see this in Happy Hippos, we see this in Kinder Buenos, we see this in the Duplo Whites, and we see this in also fake Kinder products, like, I don't know, when some ice cream shop makes Kinder Bueno. I feel like they flavored ice cream, for example. I feel like in ice cream form they can get by using the Kinder Bueno name, but if they use the Kinder Bueno White or the Happy Hippo flavored ice cream, for example, it gains, or the Kinder Bueno White flavored ice cream, it gains that kind of extra level of like, whoa, this is a nice dessert, right? I feel like I've seen that around in some stores or in some, yeah, kind of fancier type places that could gain access to the Happy Hippo license, or some that couldn't gain the access to the Happy Hippo license but that were kind of hip about it, or like where marketing took TikTok marketing took care of itself, took care of that, sorry, and brought the Happy Hippo flavor to it. So I feel like in those cases, hazelnut plus white chocolate wins. Kinder Delice, in my opinion, out of the non-refrigerated ones, is the one that most approximates the refrigeratedness, so that plays both for it because it's a memorable dessert, but also makes it pale a little bit in comparison to the other ones because it doesn't quite live up to them. But I still like Kinder Delice a lot. Kinder cookies, Kinderini cookies, and Kinder wafer cards are interesting product categories, but in my opinion, they're not essentials or anything like this. They're not like super surprising or particularly surprising in a good way. So yeah, I will say that from out of all of these, my dry picks are probably the Kinder Bueno White, and yeah, maybe the Duplo White could be added to this. I felt like they were really solid. Then the Kinder Delice, and out of all of them together, the Kinder Maxi King is always a guilty pleasure of mine. Guilty because yeah, it's like pretty heavy, and yeah, I don't even know what this review is. This review is like the ultimate guilty pleasure or whatever, right? But yeah, then the Kinder Pinguin, I would say that it was so solid and like it gave me that sense of satisfaction that I will say it ranks also pretty high up. And the Paradiso and the Blueberry Milchschnitte also gave me quite a good surprise. So yeah, I feel like I'm repeating myself here, so I feel like it's time for me to end this video. Thank you for watching, and yeah, hope you enjoyed me eating all of this so that you don't have to. To be honest, I feel like it's a sacrifice that I make gladly one time, because if I keep this going in time, it's not going to be so happy anymore. But yeah, I feel like it's also better to listen to someone else talk about it rather than trying it yourself, because it spares you from like this. You're after 40 minutes, you're finally done. After 40 minutes, I'm not done. I'm still staying with this body. I'm having eaten all of this, and it's 10 a.m. Sorry, it's like 10:15 p.m. Sorry, and I have to wake up at 6 a.m. tomorrow. And like with all this sugar in my body, how the fuck am I going to sleep? I still have to cook dinner. Well, to prepare dinner to prepare lunch for tomorrow and to pack it, right? So yeah, I feel like it's you don't get that bad end of the deal in this case. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. Almost 40 minutes of reviewing some Kinder products. Hope someone reaches this end of the video. And yeah, have a good one. Bye bye.